You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet hits. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan, dropping back in for a bonus table-setting episode as we are looking ahead to opportunity coming up for Grant McCasland and the Red Raiders from United Supermarkets Arena. Still looking for their first Big 12 home win, though they've found success away from the LBK so far, Chris, most recently coming off of a win in Manhattan over Kansas State. But really an intriguing matchup. Obviously a brand name coming up in Arizona, but a team that didn't get off to the best of starts, but has since seemingly found its footing in league play. So want to get to what you're seeing in the Wildcats. And also I wonder what you're thinking about this resume building opportunity, because just like I mentioned there, Arizona doesn't have the shiniest record so far. And they're working on their own resume, but we know how dangerous they are and what kind of win it would be. So what do you think is at the feet of the Red Raiders as far as the chance to continue to build a tournament-worthy resume coming up this weekend?
Yeah, there's some new pieces on this Arizona team. I think it took them a bit to kind of get everything figured out. They don't really necessarily have any bad losses. It's just the fact they had 5 of them in the non-conference, which was, I think, kind of shocked everybody a bit, and they were kind of a bit of a disappointment. But then all of a sudden, good coaching takes over, and they something has clicked, and now they're in first place. And I heard Tommy Lloyd say this the other day, but this conference race, it's a full mile, and they've just run one lap of it right now, as they're just a quarter of the way through. But they're a perfect quarter of the way through. But yeah, they lost to, ironically, conference member West Virginia in the non-conference, but then went up to Morgantown and just thumped the Mountaineers. So that was one of their non-conference losses. They lost to UCLA by 3. They lost to Duke at home. They lost to Wisconsin at Wisconsin, and they lost to Oklahoma when Oklahoma was rolling in a close game at a neutral site by 5 points. But they've since just kind of figured it out, and I think that it is a team that just doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, man. This is kind of fun, because this is one of the highlights of when you started expanding your league. I mean, Arizona basketball was kind of one of the big things that you added from a brand standpoint. And I just, Lute Olson for years. I mean, you think about Steve Kerr, Andre Iguodala, Damon Stoudemire, Mike Bibby, Sean Elliott, DeAndre Ayton in recent years. I mean, they're just Arizona, man. They are very much a brand, 60 plus years of history and multiple national championships and all those things. This is kind of fun. I was actually fortunate so I think when Pat Knight was the coach here, Arizona came here in a non-conference game in December, and it was a pretty big deal. You just weren't very good at the time, and they came in and beat you. And then when there was a home and home that they'd agreed to, and then when Tubby was here, I've been to the McHale Center, I think is how you say it, and it was a December non-conference game, and so I've been on that campus and seen their football stadium, been in that arena, and I think Arizona, they didn't just hammer you, but they beat you. I just thought, this is pretty cool, man. And now here they are as conference mates, and you're going to get to see them twice this year. Lucky you. But this is it's a good team. That's just the way I could describe it. They're not going to be as physical as Houston. I don't know if they will be as gritty as Iowa State, but they're just pretty solid. And I'll tell you what sticks out and where they're probably excelling. And I've heard Tommy Lloyd talk about this. He feels like the Big 12, if you don't rebound well, this isn't the league for you. So you are good at what you emphasize, and I think he's clearly emphasized that with his team. They have 6 players averaging over 4 boards a game, and it's nobody's just averaging 10 or 11 boards a game or anything like that, like JT Toppin is for you. It's just everybody's a part of it. guards, bigs, everybody's averaging 4+, it seems like, and they've got a few guys averaging 6 or 7, but it's just like everybody is a part of the rebounding aspect. And I think they're like 18th in the country in rebounds per game or something. So that's clearly something that you're going to get some grit and toughness, because that's what rebounding is to a certain extent. But no, this will be a fun one, man. And it is a resume. This is some extra credit for you, because Arizona, I mean, they're in the top 15 of the KenPom, of the net. This has a chance to be a win that gives you a little pay some extra dividends there if you can get it, and probably not one of those that hurts you too bad if you don't get it. But again, you need some of these extra credit wins to increase your margin for error in case you go stub your toe somewhere and like, ooh, that's a bad loss. You need something to counter it, and this is. You're going to get 2 cracks at these guys, but boy, you need to take advantage of this one. And you haven't won a home game in the league yet. So I know that's bothering Grant a bit, as much as fun as it's been on the road, but you need to hold serve at home.
Yeah, it's got to be bothersome, because you're enjoying what you've done away, and you would be celebrating that in a huge way. And I'm sure you are to an extent, but you'd like to enjoy it even more so if you were pairing something with that on your home floor. And if you were, man, the record, and think about what we'd be saying about that resume if you had gotten over those humps. And it's not to suggest there's some problem at home. I don't feel that way, because both of those games were very different and against very different opponents. So I guess the biggest problem is that you've so far found a variety of ways to lose a conference home game so far. It's come in a different fashion, but I just, it was hard for me to get 2 down. It was really frustrating. It'll tick you off, just flat make you mad, taking one like you did against Iowa State. But as far as the nature of the team, it was hard for me to walk away from that one, really feeling down. I was ticked that you lost an opportunity, let it slip out of your hands, but I didn't necessarily feel worse about the team, given what we saw against a very good squad in Iowa State. So God only knows what we'll see this weekend. Should be another great environment, and hopefully a better final score. But, man, you were on the cusp of getting one of the biggest wins that anyone's gotten in the nation, and it slipped away. So I imagine there's no short supply of motivation for these guys to get over the home hump, so to speak, rolling into this next one.
Yeah, and I think I think you hope that JT is healthy, okay, or feeling better. You hope that Darion Williams, his ankle didn't just you get back to town and it swells up and whatever. And so, but I think Grant said on his coach's show this week that both guys should be good to go, and that's the expectation, all that stuff. But you hope that they are at their normal productivity levels when you play these Arizona Wildcats. But just to give you an idea, like how well Arizona is coached and like what you're dealing with here. This is Tommy Lloyd's 4th year as the head coach at Arizona. They've been to the Sweet 16 twice, and both of those years, I think they won the Pac-12 regular season championship. But he's rallied, or because we were talking about in a recent episode, we were talking about, number of wins for I think the number 25 got thrown out, and you were like, take it and run, whether the math works out or not. He's had seasons of 33 wins, 28 wins, and 27 wins. I mean, you're dealing with a program here, and they are going to be heard from, and so there's a lot. This is just not going to be easy, I guess is what I'm saying. They're, like I said, they're going to walk in and they're going to look the part. They're going to have some swagger to them. There's going to be some, and I hope Texas Tech embraces it, because it is an extra credit opportunity. But they haven't lost a game in a month since December the 14th. And you will need to play well, but you'll need to fast start, and you can't have like the UCF deal, and you'll need to make your free throws when you're supposed to, and you're going to need to not turn the ball over at key times if you want to get one of these wins. And maybe you come out and thump these guys, because I look at, they beat TCU at home. That's not any great shakes. They won at Cincinnati, which you're about to get a chance to. Cincinnati was reeling. They only won by 5. They won at West Virginia, bit of a payback game for the Wildcats in that one, as they'd already lost to West Virginia. They beat UCF by 8 at home, and their most impressive one was most recently as they beat Baylor by 11 at home. This isn't some, oh my gosh, some daunting task here. You'll be in this game. You'll absolutely have your chances. You just have to clean up some of the things that have ailed you a little bit. But no, this is a good one, man. Like I said about Arizona, they're just not bad at anything. They've got depth, they've got size, they're well coached. They are, is the other side note, for as good as they are rebounding, they are one of, they don't rely on the three. It's one of the few teams and the good teams in this league that don't rely on the three, similar to Iowa State in that set. They're 272nd in the country at made threes per game because they beat you off the dribble, they get to the free throw line, they get steals and get second chance opportunities and all the things that come with it, but they don't. So your interior defense and taking care of the ball is certainly paramount.
Well, I was going to ask, with those things in mind, is there a Red Raider or two that stand out as really prominent you need to be impactful inside or outside? First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app giving you everything you need for live betting, same-game parlays, and a whole lot more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com, and make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
How does Chance McMillan bounce back from what was a? I mean, it's not all his fault, or I think Kansas State made a clear decision: we're going to take you away. But what does Chance McMillan look like? And what I mean by that is, remember, was it against Iowa State when he had 8 rebounds? I think last league weekend. That's where I want to see, because he's going to have to rebound against other guards. And because what did we just tell you about Arizona? I mean, it's a team mentality. And so I want to see some of that from Chance. No, don't define him by how much he's scoring, but how well is he rebounding? And then can he take one of these? Because Caleb Love, Jaden Bradley, and KJ Lewis are all 3 guards that are 6'3", 6'4", similar to Chance. They all score in double digits, similar to Chance. And so who gets the mano-a-mano best matchup with however they're paired up against? And can Elijah Hawkins still play at this level where he's basically like a 7-to-1 assist-to-turnover guy in the Big 12? It's crazy the numbers he's putting up and the kinds of minutes that he's having to play. If he can give you a similar effort and Chance can be involved a bit, because I'm going to assume that JT and Darion are going to do their thing. So we'll see what we get. It's hard to pin down one guy. But Kevin Overton, I'll tell you what, Kevin Overton I'm ready to see him kind of bounce back too, because he's kind of going the way of Kerwin Walton, where it's just not been the best since league play started. Those two combined are averaging 5 to 6 points combined, a game, which we saw a lot more of that or more from them in the non-conference. But you're going to need your auxiliary pieces to come along here if you're going to pull off a win. And you'll probably be favored in this one ever so slightly, but I don't, it's not that it's not an upset or whatever, because on paper by the numbers, it would be a bit of a small upset.
Man, can't wait to find out how it shakes out. This is one of the more anticipated home games of the year, I would think, for most Tech fans, getting a crack for the first time at a program like Arizona as a league member. So hopefully it's a successful one and the first conference win at home of the season for Texas Tech. So looking forward to it, man. Enjoy the ball game, Chris. Appreciate a little extra time to break it down as we get ready for Red Raiders and Wildcats from United Supermarkets Arena. And they'll be back together on the other side to process it all. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. We'll see everybody at the arena on Saturday, and guns up.
And get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the everydayers, sometimes the twice-a-dayers, for being out there. Always good to see you again. For Chris, I'm Casey, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.